I will begin. Time is very short, and I understand that you have been here for a long period of time. You have had the honor of sitting in the presence of your esteemed Shaykh, a man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have a very simple message, and it's something that Hazrat Sahib mentioned already continuously. I've only been here half an hour, but there's two words which keep coming up. And the two words which I think we need to understand and appreciate. The two words that I keep hearing from this mahfil is Suhba and Nisbat. This is everything. Everything you are and everything we are today is thanks to our Nisbah. Because we're connected to a man of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who connected him to a man of Allah prior to him, who connected to a man prior to him. And it goes back to the best possible generations. It goes back to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. And then we all fall in the presence at the feet of our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam. This is what Nisbah really is. The other word that we keep hearing and we need to appreciate is that of Suhba. Suhba means companionship. It means the people that you hang around with. Suhba is something which is hidden, yet is so powerful. The way I am speaking right now, the way you speak, the way I dress, the way people on the streets dress, the way people think even, what comes in their head first, a huge amount of it depends on the kind of companionship you keep. If you sit with the learned people, if you sit in the presence of an esteemed Shaykh, you won't effing blind. You won't use vulgar language. Your dress will be according to the sunnah. But if you spend all of your time on the phone, if you are inspired by social media influencers, then I'm sorry, I cannot guarantee that level of integrity, that level of iman inside you. Soba is what makes all of the difference. So I think this is a very important underlying theme that I hope, inshallah ta'ala, in this small talk that you will pick up on. We are everything thanks to these two terms, Nisbat and Sohbat. We begin, however, with a beautiful hadith sharif, a hadith sharif which I am sure you are all familiar with, a hadith sharif which Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti rahmatullahi alayhi mentions in his Tariq, a beautiful hadith sharif in which our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam explained that khisalul khayri thalasu mi'a wa sittuna khasla. Our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam said, and he spoke in a very jami' and comprehensive way, he said that on earth there are 360 great qualities to be found in an insan, to be found in a person. When Allah, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَصْلَةً وَاحِدَةً. Now, what are these 360? Iman is a good quality, is it not? That is one of them. Ihsan, that is a good quality to have. Feeding people. Being kind, that's another great quality. Saying sorry, please, and thank you. A simple yet important quality of khair. Being decent to your neighbors. Being respectful to the elders. Being merciful to the youngsters. These are all great qualities, aren't they? You list them, our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam said that when you add them up, they come to 360. The next part is very important, I think, because it shows the rahmah of our Lord. Certainly it reflects how our Messenger is rahmatan lil alameen. إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا جَعَلَ فِيكَ خَصْلَةً وَاحِدَةً. 360 sounds a lot. But our Messenger said, if Allah wants one of his servants to enter Jannah and to be subject to the mercy and pleasures of Allah for eternity there, Allah only gives one of his servants one of these 360 qualities. Just one. And that is enough for him to warrant a place in Jannah, khalidina fiha, for eternity. You know, how wonderful is this? How powerful is this hadith sharif? You know, sometimes people say, well, I'm not the most intelligent person. I'm not going to become the next Shaykh al-Islam. I'm not going to be writing a shara on Aqidah Nasafiyya very soon. Don't worry to what this hadith is saying. Maybe Allah has blessed you with a beautiful smile. Is that not a beautiful trait? Does that not benefit people? Allah might not have given you a family, but perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you another quality by which you can benefit mankind. That your hands, your tongue, your movement is benefiting people. People sometimes, because we live in a compare and contrast society, people are always comparing what their life is like on the person they're following on Instagram, on Twitter, on social media. I'm like this, but look how wonderful this person is. When people do that constantly, they feel bad about their own lives. And they start feeling ill, they get negative vibes, and they say, well, मैं तो नाकाम हूँ. You know, this person has all the success. I think this hadith is wonderful in bringing positivity into people. Because you might not have that quality of beauty. You might not have that quality of money. But Allah has given you something by which you can enter into Jannah with. 360 is a huge number. When the Prophet ﷺ explained this beautiful hadith sharif in front of all of his companions, the most eager, the most beloved of his companions, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala, and he put his hand up. And he said, Ya Rasulallah, you mentioned that there are 360 great qualities to be found in a person. You only need one to enter into Jannah. Please, Ya Rasulallah, tell me, Afiya shay'un minha? That out of these 360, Ya Rasulallah, do I, Abu Bakr, possess any of these qualities? Listen to the response of our Messenger, alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, Naam, jam'am min kull. He said, Ya Abu Bakr, you don't possess one of them, you possess all 360 of them.
Shane Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. Shane Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq.
Our Prophet is saying, if you want to see what taqwa is, look at Abu Bakr. If you want to look at what it means to be a decent individual, look at the Atiq. That is what our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam was saying. That he is the perfect model Muslim. That he has all of these great qualities in him. Ask yourself, and this is where we will take this inshallah ta'ala. How on earth did Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an assume all of these 360 great qualities? This is a lesson for you and I. Remember, when we study the lives of the great, we try to take lessons from them. We try to adopt it to our lives. Why is it that Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an, in the words of our Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam, possessed all of these qualities? Number one, and this is really a personal tribute to this great figure of Islam, Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala an was naturally guided. You know, fitrati taur pe, he was just a perfect individual. Take a step back and have a look at what rules and regulations and laws do in this country. We're all surrounded by them, aren't we? You know, for example, when I drove from Leicester to Stoke this afternoon, there were laws about how I behave on the road, how fast I drive my car. These rules, laws, and regulations, they're there for your guidance. Tomorrow, when you go to work, in your workplace, there are laws and regulations of what time you turn up, what you can and can't do. Some people shrug their shoulders and say this is unfair, but let's face it. Rules, regulations, and laws are there for your betterment. They're there to make you better. When kids go to school, they would wish that there were no laws whatsoever, no do's and don'ts. They could do whatever they want. Schools aren't like that. The rules and regulations in schools about what you can wear, how you speak to the teacher, what you can bring to school. They were very careful with that because they know without this, the school might lead to anarchy, to chaos. You might not like rules, but think of a world without rules. How would driving down the motorway be? How many people without rules and regulations and deadlines, how many people would turn up regularly on time at 9 a.m. at work every morning? Half of us would walk in at 12. Rules and regulations are there for a reason, to put you straight, to make sure everyone behaves. Because when you don't have them, it leads to anarchy. It leads to chaos, it leads to fitna, it leads to fasad. The rules are there for our betterment. Allahu Akbar. It takes a great man. It takes a wonderful individual. It takes a very special and unique individual who, in the absence of rules and regulations, is still a perfect insan. Who still doesn't make mistakes. And that is exactly who Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu was. Because you look at his seerah before the appearance of Islam. He was a model citizen then as well. He never lied before the public announcement of Nabuwah from the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He never let alcohol near his lips. He never cheated anyone. He never lied to anyone. There are so many stories that in terms of his aqeedah, in terms of his akhlaq, even before the appearance of Islam in Makkah, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala an, he was a unique, perfect citizen. That is why he had the 360 qualities. We are told, and this is written in the books of Seerah, that when Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala an was in the womb of his mother, on occasions, his mother would go to the Haram Sharif in Makkah with the right intention. Unfortunately, as you know, at that time, the Kaaba, the Haram Sharif, it was full of stones and idols. It was not a place of tawheed, but rather it was a place of shirk, unfortunately, which our messenger removed. The Seerah books say that the mother of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that when I used to go to the Haram Sharif and it was surrounded by stones and idols, whilst I was carrying Abu Bakr in my womb, I could feel a kick from Abu Bakr. I could feel like really rigid movement. Angry movement almost. And subhanallah, the mother of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala and was saying that it's as if Abu Bakr was telling me in the womb, I don't like these idols here. I'm a muwahid, I believe in Allah. We don't do shirk. His father, Abu Qahafa, again a story from his youth. He was a mushrik. He came to Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala and said, I am going to take you to our ma'bad, the place of worship. I am going to take you where all the stones and idols are. I am going to turn you into an idol worshipper. Abu Bakr obediently went with his father to the ma'bad, the place where the worship takes place in Makkah. His father left him there and said, I will leave you here to get familiar with the stones and idols. They will come handy to you. His father left, and now Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala was in the companionship of all these stones and idols. The books of Seerah write that when Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala was alone now with the stones and idols, he started having a conversation with them. I'm giving you this example to show you how naturally guided he was. Even before the noors of Islam, the noor of Prophet Muhammad entered his heart. He looked at the idols and he said, I'm hungry. Come on, stones, feed me. No response. It shows the clarity of his foot. Then he went on to say, he goes, I am naked. I am destitute. I need something from you. Clothe me, please, stones and idols. No response. Taking the beautiful sunnah of Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam, I think. What next did he do? He saw a small pebble on the ground. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala and picked up the pebble and said, I am about to throw this at you. Let's see if you can defend yourself. My father said that you can help me. My father said that you are a source of guidance and protection. Put me aside for one moment. Let's see if you can protect yourselves first. He picked up the pebble, threw it at the idols. They did not respond. He was naturally guided. This is the first reason why Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, he had those 360 great qualities. The second reason is more important. And the second reason is what Qibla Alamas have picked up on, and it's the reason why we're here. The reason why Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala was so special was thanks to his suhba with the best of all creations, Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. No other reason. Because of all of the companions who spent the most time with our messenger, peace be upon him. Whether it was in youth, whether it was in old age. Who was next to our messenger in all of the major battles? When it came to the tabligh of Islam, the preaching of Islam, undoubtedly number one was Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When it came to spreading the nur of Islam in Arabia, you pick up the books. Who was number two when it came to the tabligh of Islam in the early period? It was the Atiq radiyallahu ta'ala, and it was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. As an example, you know, the Ashara Mubashara, we know very well, is a very special genre of Sahaba Ikram, who in their lifetime, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam guaranteed them Jannah. Of course, and you know very well that Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala was number one on that list, Abu Bakr fil Jannah. But of those 10, just to show you the contributions of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala in the tabligh of Islam, of those 10, 4 of them directly took the shahada from Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. Some amazing companions read the Kalima Sharif at the hands of Abu Bakr. Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah radiyallahu ta'ala. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu ta'ala. Subhanallah, great names here. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf radiyallahu ta'ala. Subhanallah. And of course, Usman ibn Affan radiyallahu ta'ala. They all took their Islam from the hands of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. He was the sahib of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. That was his most famous title. That is a title given to him in the Holy Quran. Is yaqulu li sahibihi. It's thanks to this Suhba that he picked up the 360 qualities and more. That Suhba and companionship, it did not just occur above the ground with the best of all creation, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It continued in the grave as well. You know, the Suhba of the grave still matters. We are told, and you will be familiar with this story, that when Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala was about to leave this world, all he could think of was his master, Rahmatan lil Alameen. He thought to himself, I spent my whole life with him. Now I want to spend Alam-e-Barzakh with him as well. He made a beautiful request to the companion. He said, when I pass away, I want you to put my blessed body next to the Hujra Mubarakah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And in Medina Sharif. And I just want you to leave it there. Leave it there for 24 hours. If miraculously the door of the Hujra Mubarakah, where the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is buried, if it automatically opens, then this is a sign from my Lord that I have the right to be buried next to my Habib. Otherwise, if you don't get any indication, if nothing happens, simply bury me in Jannatul Baqi, that is fine for me as well. The companions report, Allahu Akbar, that not only did the door open immediately, but a voice was heard from the Qabr Anwar sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And what was that voice? Awsilil Habib ilal Habib. Habib ko apne Habib ke saath mila do. And that is why, like Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala and Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala and has the pleasure, that honor and sharf of being buried next to our Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. We take the burial very seriously. I ask yourself, and this is a side point, that you know this majara of what I have just explained, of how Abu Bakr asked for his body to be placed next to the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam and to see whether the door miraculously opens or not. Something about our Aqidah. Do you really think that Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala and would have gone through these steps if he truly thought that the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam is dead in his grave? Do you really think that? Would anyone in their right mind do something if he thought that the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam has left this world? The only reason He did this is because Abu Bakr knew that like all prophets and messengers, my messenger is alive in his grave. He is alive, he is zinda. Subhanallah. A simple point to show what Suhba means. You create a nisba with the Messenger alayhi salatu was salam, your dunya is sorted, your akhirat is sorted. This is the lesson of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. Suhba and nisba is everything. And this is where we come to the 21st century now. This is where we come to 2023. And I think it's very important, and you will understand why I said that I wanted this to be a tribute to Hazrat Sahib as well. Suhba is in crisis right now. Companionship is in crisis. There are seismic changes to society that we are seeing right now. Changes which are scaring the life out of elders. And if you boil it down to its basics, it's because Suhba is in crisis. And I will explain what I mean by that. Number one, we are very privileged to be here, to be part of a mahfil, to be mixing with our beloved brothers. You know very well that step outside. People, more than ever before, they don't have suhba anymore at all. They're isolated. They're lonely. The pensioners in this country can go a whole week without speaking to a human, and it's killing them. Mental illness today has come about for many reasons. But one of the main reasons why mental illness is such a serious issue today is because people don't speak anymore. People don't interact anymore. The only interaction we have is with this smartphone, which ironically is making us dumb. We're not interacting as humans. Suhba doesn't exist anymore. Everyone is attached to their phone, they're not attached to real people. And the result in that is mental illness. Number two, when it comes to suhba, we don't talk anymore. We don't hug anymore. We prefer to text. We prefer digital communication. I'm sorry to say, when you come and meet Hazrat Sahib, you can see 100 photos online. You can watch this on YouTube 1,000 times. But it's not the same as sitting in the presence of Hazrat Sahib right now.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Why? Because when you have human contact with people, you don't just learn the outer, you learn the inner as well.
Subhanallah.
The digital never has the inner. You only learn the outer there. And because when you sit with someone and you have real suhba, it stops you from bad behavior. It inspires you. You automatically become engaged in the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
The third crisis when it comes to suhba is that now people, our youngsters in particular, if they do find suhba, if they do find companionship, unfortunately, and this is my observation, I might be wrong in some cases, many of our youngsters, they unfortunately are picking junior suhba rather than senior suhba. They are picking suhba which is of substandard rather than higher standard. A simple way of showing this, our youngsters, they are more obsessed, they spend more time, they communicate more with friends rather than their own parents, rather than their own brothers and sisters. This is naqis, this is substandard suhba. Friends will never be better than family. But the smartphone and social media is leading us down that road. And what is it doing now? We are not picking the suhba of the akabir, the seniors. We are picking now the suhba of the athar, the smaller ones. Online even as well, you will see that our youngsters, they are more likely to know more about YouTube influencers, astaghfirullah, media stars, than they know about them more than they know about their own peer and murshid. What are they doing here? You know, they're choosing the most nakam, the most naqis, the most razil companionship, and they are leaving the best possible companionship, the one that takes you to Allah and His Messenger. That we have youngsters who know more about Andrew Tate than they do about Imam Hussain. What kind of generation is that? Suhba is in real crisis now. And this is, and I will finish with this, this is where the intelligence, the wisdom, the insight, the hikmah of the likes of Sufi Arshad Mahmood, Damat Barakatuhul Aliyah come in. Because these people, they read the climate, they read the environment, they see what is going on and they respond accordingly. And they respond accordingly to ensure that our outer health and inner health is looked after properly. They are, like Hazrat Sahib said, they are murshids. They are providing guidance in a world which is lacking that now. And by doing so, they are solving the pareshanis, anxieties associated with minor sohbah, associated with mental illness. Hazrat Sahib here has seen for many years, for decades, that this is a world we are living in which has now become fixated with the dunya, obsessed with the dunya, with gadgets, with clothes, with brands, with holidaying in the best possible places. That is the only thing youngsters care about nowadays. Hazrat Sahib saw this trend. Whereas everyone else was going towards dunya, what did Hazrat Sahib do? He brought people to the house of Allah, to the masjid.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
He brought people to the right place. As soon as you step out of this dunya, you get lost. Dunya has nothing for you and I. You know, the nature of the dunya is what? Number one, you know, Allah has created the dunya as a trick, as a deception, as a doka, as a ghurur. It's a deception in the sense, number one, rest assured, you are never going to get everything you want in dunya. It's impossible. You're chasing shadows all your life. You will even if you become the biggest billionaire in this world, there will always be something missing from your bucket list. You're not going to get it all. Number two, even if you did get everything you wanted in your life, do you really think you're going to live long enough to enjoy it? Death is going to catch you up. Hazrat Sahib is showing us that the real enjoyment is the akhirat. That is what these mahafil are about. It is ensuring that our sat-nav is not no longer to, set up for the dunya, but for the akhirat. Where Allah will solve this conundrum. Where when we go to Jannah, there will be no limit. We will get everything we want. And more importantly, we will get all the time in the world to enjoy it. Khalidina fiha. Hazrat Sahib had the insight, the aql, the hikmah, the intellect to understand that now we are in a world which is full of amusement, entertainment, laghav and lahab, wasting time. People, they start their day with Instagram, with Twitter. I'm on here to get a bit of amusement. 6 hours later, their eyes are red. They have found no amusement whatsoever. They have found no aram and sukoon. Allah Akbar. What is Hazrat Sahib doing here, and we have already seen this beautifully, is that he has shown that this dunya is just short-term, thrills. The real itminan and the real sukoon that you find in the dunya is for the zikr of Allah.
Subhanallah. Allah, 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 Allah,
Allah. This is what really brings peace. Everyone will leave this masjid today rejuvenated. Everyone will leave, feeling much better about themselves. You don't get that from social media. You won't get that from YouTube. You feel that your iman has gone up a few steps. And he's doing that in a very troublesome world where people are pulling their hair out in anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Hazrat Sahib has ensured that you leave with a smile on your face, with an extra noor in your hearts as well. You know, for this time and age, for this climate, this is nothing short of miraculous. It's not an easy task to do. Hazrat Sahib has seen. And again, it's an indication of the horrible, turbulent times that we are living in. That we are living in a world of hate. Where the only language that works is when you hate someone. The only way you get popular in your name on the news now, if you curse someone, if you bring someone down, if you kill someone, if you hurt someone's feelings. You know, the word mahabba now has disappeared from our dictionary here. Policies in this country are based on hate. Look what they are doing, how they are treating the immigrants, how they are treating the refugees, what they are doing during the cost of living crisis. Did anyone see mahabba in that? Look how people are trolled on the internet. Look how we do trial by social media now. Look how we take people in our community, in the celebrity lifestyle, we make them heroes one day and then we make them zeros. Hate all of the time. Bughd has overtaken this world. What has Hazrat Sahib done beautifully? He has removed the hate from your heart. He has put mahabba in its place. He's given you the perfect antidote. So please, never underestimate the importance of Suhba. You might not understand this now. You might not appreciate this. But it is your savior on the day of Qiyamah. You have, just by coming to the mahafil, by establishing a link, not just with Hazrat Sahib, but your own brothers as well. In your own communities, whether it is Leicester, whether it is Stoke, whether it is Birmingham, is you have established a network of individuals who support one another, who help one another. And I will finish with this observation, that I know many of you guys. I am familiar with many of the murids of Hazrat Sahib here. And this is truth now. I would not say this, this is no exaggeration here. That in this climate right now, our phones are red hot with youngsters talking to us, and we help them however we can about their depressions, about their anxieties, about their negative thoughts, about their parishanis. I say this with great confidence. Very rarely, and in fact I have never received a phone call from such a phone call from any of the murids of Hazrat Sahib sitting here. There's a reason for it. He has a winning formula and it's working. Never have I come across a murid of Hazrat Sahib here said, I'm having doubts about the existence of Allah. I'm having atheist thoughts. And you know how common that is in society today. Why? Because he has grounded all of you lot in terms of your aqidah as well. Never have I heard a murid of Hazrat Sahib swear or use vulgar language or refuse to smile at me. I have only seen the most amazing akhlaq from his murids. This is no fluke. This is no fluke. This is no coincidence. This is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descending upon Hazrat Sahib. This is what happens when you become a man immersed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what happens when you sit with the men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They inspire you. They take you to a higher place. And I promise that this will be our savior on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us all to benefit from the great men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ameen. Wa ma alayna illa al-balaghul mubin.
Oh Allah, 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 oh.